Oh, hello YouTube. Today on the Naughty Librarian, I am going over my August TBR list. I have a very ambitious August TBR list. I put more books on it than usual because I feel like I've been running out of books on my TBR list lately, so fingers crossed I complete them all, but we'll find out together. Alright, let's just get into books I'm going to be reading this August. I'm going to start things off with a little historical romance, and I have My American Duchess by Eloisa James. I've been wanting to read more stuff by Eloisa James. I've read like a little bit, but I'm like, she's such a big name in historical romance that like I want to give it more shots. And I did try a chapter of this for my Try a Chapter challenge, and I was into it so far. So this is Trent and Mary, well, the Duke of Trent. And he needs to marry a well-bred English lady, Stat. And in comes Mary, the American heiress, who he's like absolutely not, and then like Mary ends up being really cool and he's just like, well, maybe so, and he's like super into her. Turns out Mary already betrothed to someone else, and she's like, I have to go through with it because I've jilted two other fiancés, like it's kind of a problem, like I need to do this. And he's like, no, I'm gonna win you over. And then hijinks ensue. I'm super into this. It has Americans in it, which I am kind of getting into in historicals because so many of them are in England that I like to have an American Duchess, for example. And also, I believe this is Regency era, I believe. If not, maybe Edwardian. I'm not 100% sure when this takes place. But I am excited. Eloisa James, she's a big heavy hitter in historical romance. I'm excited to see where this goes. Also on deck is Mr. Impossible by Loretta Chase. I have been going on and on about this book lately, but it's basically Sexy the Mummy 1999. Is everyone else gasping right now? Because that sounds incredible, right? So this one's Daphne and Rupert. So Rupert, he's like, you know, the rogue, the scoundrel, the adventurer kind of guy. Whoopsie daisies, he's in a really rough Cairo prison. And in comes Daphne, this studious woman who's like, hey, you need to help me find my brother. He got kidnapped by these guys who are hunting treasure that he probably has, and they totally kidnapped him. You're gonna help me. And he's like, all right, but you gotta get me out of prison. Is this sounding familiar? It does, because it's The Mummy 1999, but with more sex probably. And I'm so into that. Fingers crossed this is good, because if it disappoints me, I'm gonna be devastated. But I don't know. Right now, I have high hopes. Also, official announcement for my Drunk Classics Book of the Month. I am going to be doing Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I am excited for all of the piratey adventures. I really don't know what it's about. I know it has pirates and treasure and then an island of it. But it sounds fun. It's kind of a summery kind of read. I have this beautiful Penguin Clothbound Classics edition with like parrots and stuff. So tropical island, Pirates of the Caribbean-esque feel, and also, you know, adventures in the ocean. I don't know, I'm gonna get very drunk and read this. I'm going to be premiering this on the second to last Saturday of the month. I am totally blanking on the date. I think it's the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, stay tuned. August 21st, I'll be premiering this. I want to live chat with everybody during the premiere. And yeah, pirate adventures and lots of wine. Maybe rum, who knows? Speaking of books of the month, I also have The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke, and this is the book of the month for the Blades and Bodice Rippers book club. This month we're going to be over on Bethany's channel, and that is the last Saturday of the month, which is the 28th, I believe. I've heard really great things about this one, and fingers crossed it's going to be awesome, but it's kind of like loosely based around like North African fantasy, I guess. And there's a child soldier, there is someone who needs like a spy, and they're like doing stuff, so there's intrigue, there's action, there's fantasy elements, and I'm into all of that. And also I believe there's a lot of different types of representation in here, so I'm just excited to get into it. It seems pretty juicy, and like I've just like glanced through it and saw a few sentences that were chef's kiss good, so I have high hopes. I'm also going to be reading She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan, and this one is kind of a queer reimagining of Mulan. Is anyone else gasping again? Because that sounds fantastic. And honestly, that is all I know about it. It's it's a queer reimagining of Mulan. And like, I was like, tell me no more, I already want this. And I was very fortunate to have the publisher Tor Books send me a copy. I am so pumped for this. I just want like a sweeping fantasy story, and it's like, I love it. I loved Mulan as a kid. Is anyone else here a 90s kid? Oh my gosh, Mulan was my shit. Like, I was way into Mulan. And also Pocahontas. They don't get enough love as Disney heroines. Am I right? I think I'm right. Also on deck, I have It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. It has summer in the title. It's a summer book. I want to read it during summer. And this one's kind of like a Schitt's Creek, you know, the show Schitt's Creek. It's inspired by that. It's a rom-com. And the thing about Tessa Bailey rom-coms is that they are delightfully smutty. Oh my word, so much smut. I'm expecting all of the smut in this. I'm here for penetration purposes, and I don't think I'm going to be disappointed. But essentially, this is Piper and Brendan. Piper is kind of like a Hollywood socialite. She ends up in this small town. She meets Brendan, and he's a gruff fisherman. And then they're gonna bang the bejesus out of each other. I'm into it. I just want like a delightful romp, you know? The other side of the spectrum, I have That Weekend by Kara Thomas. This is a murder mystery. Oh my word. I love Kara Thomas like murder mysteries. They're so good. And this one in particular has an excellent premise. So you have this group of friends, right? They go for a weekend at this cabin in the woods. All's great until the end of that weekend when Claire, the only member of this group of friends, is found on a hiking trail covered in blood and has no idea what happened. So obviously something happened, but she has amnesia. She doesn't know what happened. Her friends are missing. She's covered in blood. Obviously there's puzzle pieces missing here, but like there's a lot of the puzzle visible, but they have to figure out what happened. And I have a feeling she's going to be an unreliable narrator because, you know, amnesia. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't read this yet, but that could be a good twist. Who knows? But it's a murder mystery and amnesia and being covered in blood. So it's got a lot of things I'm like super into. I'm ready to get some campy new adult action going with Grace and Glory by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the finale to the Harbinger series, which like I have been loving. The Harbinger series is a spin-off of her Dark Element series, which is basically like gargoyles are real, they're descended from angels kind of, and they fight demons. And also when they're not like in gargoyle form, they're like sexy dudes and sexy ladies. And the main couple we're following in this series is Zane and Trinity. There were some big bombshells at the end of book 2 of this trilogy that like we gotta get back into and see what's gonna happen. But like there's like demons afoot and they've got to save the world. I'm just excited. I'm excited for some demon butt kicking and also like slightly smutty content. I'm way into it. I'm also going to read The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And you know what? I didn't know that this book had come out a long time ago because I just saw the new editions of it that's all like beautiful. It's like Art Nouveau. It's so pretty looking. And I was like, oh, is that a new book? I should get that. So I requested it from the library and then this showed up. I'm like, this cover is hideous. First of all, it's a hideous, hideous cover, but the premise is super cool. It's kind of takes place in like the Belle Epoque, but not exactly in France. I think this is like a fictional France, and we have this girl and she's coming to town to be amongst the ton, have her big season, find a husband, you know, generic like historical romance tropes, except she's also has telekinetic powers, and so she's got magical abilities. This guy shows up and he's like, hey, your powers are cool, let me show you how to work them. And she's like, okay. And then she's like, I'm really into this guy, and then like apparently he has like ulterior motives. So I'm excited for this. I think it's such a cool concept. The cover sadly is hideous, but we can move past that because the book sounds super cool. I am also going to be reading Incendiary by Zoraida Cordova. I tried this for my try a chapter challenge, and you guys, oh my gosh, chapter 1, you don't even know like how intense it is. Oh my word, it's super intense. It's kind of loosely based around the Spanish Inquisition, except there's actual magic this time, and there's like witches and people who can see the future and like all this stuff. And I am way into it. The first chapter is super murdery, which apparently is like what I like in books. And I'm like, why haven't I read this yet? That's the main question here, but I am so pumped. I think I'm really, really gonna like this one. Also on deck is Witch Shadow by Susan Dennard. This is the latest release in the Witchland series, and I have a soft spot for this series. I really, really like it. It's really intense. The world building is incredible. Like, Susan Dennard created a new language. Like, girl, it's a lot, and it's super good. However, there's been such a gap between when the last book came out and when this came out. Like, the last book, I believe, came out in 2019. So this has been 2 years. I do not remember what has happened. I'm gonna have to look up some spoilery reviews and synopsises just to like refresh my memory about what has been happening in this series, because there's so much going on. There's prophecies, there's witches, there's multiple countries. There's a lot happening, but I'm super into it. The cover here has Isolde on it, who is like super cool witch. She's kind of reserved, but she has some really scary powers, and I'm like, yes, give me more of Isolde. I'm so into this. So yeah, I'm gonna reread this one. Last up on deck, I have Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. Auto by author for me. And honestly, I had only read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And after that book, Auto by author forever. It was so incredible. And I just read her latest release, and I realized I haven't read her middle child. Why haven't I read this yet? I don't know. But I'm gonna read it, especially on audio. I've heard such amazing things about the audiobook, where it has a full cast, and it's kind of told like memoir-esque, and also there's a lot of people like talking to each other in here, like it was like a recorded interview. So having all the different voice actors, I think, is really gonna add like a richness to the story. But we're following this Daisy Jones, and it's kind of in the 60s and the 70s, rock star kind of story, and I am just so excited. It's gonna be good. It's probably gonna break my heart, but like in the best way possible. Alright, so that's what's on deck for August. It's a lot of really cool stuff. I am excited. There's a good mix too. Like, I got some smutty delights, I got some fantasies, I've got some murder mysteries. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and I'm super into it. Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know. What is your most anticipated read for August? Like, what do you have on deck that you can't wait to read? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!